Hello Stampin' friends, this is Trenna Brower, and today I'm going to be making a card using a stamp set, Dress to Impress, that'll be in the new annual catalog, May 2021 to April 2022, and it was also in our last year's catalog. Also today, I will be using some Specialty Designer Series paper, Love You Always, from the mini catalog that is January to June of 2021. So let's get started and let me show you a few things. First of all, let me show you this beautiful paper that we're going to be using today. This is the Dress to Impress stamp set that I'll be using, but we're going to use the Love You Always Specialty Designer Series paper. This comes in 12 sheets and there are 4 each of each design. And look at the beautiful shimmer on these. The colors are Rococo Rose, Sahara Sand, and Blushing Bride. They're beautiful. They're going to make some gorgeous cards. The card that we're going to be doing today is this one. Just a cute little simple card using some of the blender pens that I'll be showing you, at least how I use a blender pen. So let's take a look at the stamp set. This stamp set is Dress to Impress. Absolutely adore it. It's so cute. Regretfully, I have to say that this is one of the first times I've used something out of it other than the flowers that are listed here. But the sayings are so cute. Hello, fabulous. Life is short, buy the shoes. Kindness is always in style. Be as bold as your lipstick. And I'll be doing probably a Happy Mother's Day on the inside of this card that we'll be making today. Let's take a look at the dies that you can also purchase with this. Let me move the stamp set out of the side. Okay, here's the dies for the different things. You're also going to be able to make with this die a cute little purse, and these are some of the other dies that are associated with that purse. Some buttons, some buckles, a strap. Next week we'll probably do one of the purses just so I can show you how I did it. Here's a quick little sample kind of what that purse will look like, except we're going to use pretty paper. All right, you can see I keep in my case anything that I have used where I have cut out flowers before with this stamp set and used a template in my Stamparatus whenever I wanted to cut a lot of flowers. So let's put this to the side for right now and let's kind of get started on our card. First of all, I have Rococo Rose cardstock. And of course that was cut at 8.5 by 5.5 and then scored at 4 1/4. Then I'm going to take a piece of vellum. And I just wanted to add just a little bit of something. And since I'm using this vellum just as basically a background, I'm not going to have to worry about where I put my adhesive. So we're going to put some adhesive right here in the middle. And this, of course, was cut at, I believe, 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, got this down. Then I'm going to pull in my pretty Designer Series paper with that lovely foil imprint in it. And that was, of course, cut at 5, or rather 3 3/4 by 5. Put this down. Okay. So now we've got our base card done. Let me kind of pull in some of my Stampin' Blends that I used to make this card. You can see, I wanted on this card not to take away too much from this pretty Designer Series paper. I wanted the colors to be more muted. So I chose my blending pens, or rather my blends for this. Let me show you the ones that I used. I used dark pink pirouette, dark flirty flamingo, ivory, light and dark crumb cake, and then a light smoky slate to use for these images. So let me find my things here and I'll see if I can stamp those, and we're going to, well, I've already stamped them, so that's good. Let me just kind of show you how I use my blends. First of all, I'm a person who kind of likes to go from light to dark to light, and if you've ever used any of our blender pens, this is just your personal preference. There is gobs of videos out there showing how to use the blender pens. For me, I like the idea of going from light to dark. So what I do is I take I'm going to take I think this is my pink pirouette, and I'm just going to pull it in on my thing. And also too, I like to do my draw anytime I use a marker or blender pen. I like to do it on the bigger piece of paper before I have used my die to cut it out. Oh, and then of course I always close these up. Now I'm going to take the little bit darker color, the dark flirty flamingo, and I'm just going to do a little bit of shading along the side, kind of to match my card here. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of color over here and down around the edge and maybe down this way. Since I'm not a true artist, my daughter always says, "Mom, that's not the way shadows work. You're doing it wrong." But I just do it however I like it. And then I usually come back with my lighter color and just kind of pull that color down so I don't have such a distinct line. And there, and if I think I need a little bit more to just add that little bit more contrast, I just pull some of the color back in again. So it's really fun to play with these blenders. You cannot make a mistake with it, which makes it so much fun. And there we kind of have my one shoe so far. I'm going to take my smoky slate here. I believe this is smoky slate. And I'm going to just lightly color in that gray area there. And the same with the heel on her shoe. Okay. Kind of show you that up close how we're doing. Let's work a little bit on lipstick too. Once again, I'm going to use the lighter color of pink here. I'm going to pull that in, get my darker color of pink, and just shade a little right along the edges here. I don't even think I'm going to mess with that too much. I kind of like how that looks. Just want to color in this area right here. Okay. I'm going to use Smoky Slate again for in the middle for her lipstick. And now I'm going to kind of use the ivory. Let's see if I can find which one is ivory here. And I'm going to color in the lipstick case. Blender pens are very, very forgiving. Now I'm going to take the darker of the crumb cake. This is dark crumb cake. And kind of, once again, do kind of just the side areas. Yeah. And wherever I feel like I kind of want it. I'm going to bring back in my ivory and kind of pull those colors down a little bit so it's not such a distinct. And I like to leave too a little bit lighter area just to give it a little bit more contrast design. So there we go. Now that I'm looking at it, I think I might add just a little bit more of the darker pink. And I might use the smaller end this time instead of the brush end. I'm in love with the brush ends. So, and once more, maybe pull this color in just a little bit. There we go. Okay, now let's hit the perfume. Oh, let me get this up kind of close so you can see kind of what it's looking like. And I have stamped these images in the Memento Tuxedo Black, just so you know, on some Whisper White or basic white cardstock. All right, let's start with the lighter pink. I'm just going to do this right here in the middle. And it's just like using a paintbrush. I'm going to do the darker pink on the outside a little bit. And then maybe just a little bit around the edges here on this inside label. And maybe again pull that color down a little bit so it's not such a distinct edging. Let's see here. And I recap my blender pens each time to keep that moisture in those pens. And it's also easier too when you're blending if you go ahead and blend right after you've used the pen, so that it gives you a little bit more of a time to do some things. Okay, so let's take the lighter crumb cake, and I think I'm going to do that on the perfume. Oops. Let me use the brush end. I'm always just a little bit more comfortable with that. And pull the darker one in along the side again. And once again, as I say, for me, this works out just the best, where I go light, dark to then pulling the color down a little bit and just barely going over this. Okay, let's get, let's just maybe do a little bit of the darker up here too. A little bit of dark there. And then the lighter. Just kind of pull some of that color down. And there we go. Okay, this is using my blender pens. Now I would take my dies and I would run that through whatever die cutting machine you have and pull those out. Let me get this stuff out of the way. But through the magic of video, I do at least have some of these already ready to go. I can get them out of my little container here. All right, and the other thing I like to do is I'm going to be stamping my sentiment here, which is Hello Fabulous, on some Blushing Bride cardstock. And whenever I use a photopolymer stamp set, one of these clear ones like this, I like to use one of these, our Stampin' Pierce mats, just to give it a little bit more oomph to it. So, and remember, whenever you're doing something like this, you want to stamp first and then punch. So even if my stamp is not perfectly straight or exactly where I want it, it's not going to matter. Put that out of the way, because I'm going to be able to punch it exactly like I want. So remember, we want to stamp first, then punch. I'm using the double oval punch, and I'm just going to punch out Hello Fabulous. And I'm going to go off to the side just a little bit. Not really going to center it, just because I'm going to kind of layer some of the images over that. Normally I would use Rococo Rose, but I don't have the Rococo Rose ink to match the cardstock. But actually my old retired Rose Red worked very well with it. So remember, whenever you see some of these newer colors, or in this case, this will be the one that's retiring this year, Rococo Rose, for one of the in colors, keep in mind that you might have some older colored inks that will blend very well with the new cardstock. Right. I also punched out a vellum, just another oval punch, and I'm just going to offset this off of that vellum just to give it a little bit more dimension. Nothing much, just kind of off to the side here. So I don't know if you can see that. And you can see on my card where it's kind of off to the side. So now the fun starts. We're going to start layering this stuff on. So I'm going to take and just use my adhesive, put this about right here. Oh, that looks pretty good. And then I believe I'm going to use dimensionals on my two other images. This I'm going to put on just using some mono adhesive and maybe put it about right here. Okay, let me get out my dimensionals. Ooh, kind of running low on this one. So I'm going to put one on here. Let's see if I got another one still on here somewhere. Yep, I do. And another one there. And let's see. I'm going to trim a little bit of the leftover of this to give me a little bit of something to put on the one where I don't have really a whole lot of room up here, but this will work well. Find me another dimensional pack here. I'll get another dimensional on there. Okay. Take off my backing on my dimensionals if I can. There we go. And let's see, I kind of match him with my card. Maybe a little bit, something like this. I'm going to, like I said, go over the hello a little bit. And the same with my shoe then. Just kind of take my dimensionals. And kind of about right there. And then I still felt I needed a little bit of something. So I brought out my pastel pearls. These are just gorgeous. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple of them wherever my fancy strikes. So let's see. I'm going to put one, I think I'll put one up there. Let me put another over here. And then maybe one more, whoops. Right about, do I want them up here? That's kind of nice. I think I'll stick that one there. Okay. And there we have my new card. Like I said, I'll probably make these into Mother's Day cards for my mother-in-law and my mom. Too cute. And you can't, the designer series paper is just absolutely gorgeous in real life. Let me show you another card that I made kind of going another direction. This one I made on the thick Whisper White cardstock because whenever I do a card that has the Whisper White as the card base, I like to use the thicker one on it. And then I used Melon Mambo. I thought I'd make this a little bit brighter card. And then took one of my embossing folders. This happened to be an old Elegant Lines, but you could use any type of embossing folder that you had. And then this time I went with my markers. So let me kind of show you the markers that I used. Once again, kind of Blushing Bride, Sahara Sand, a few others. And then I also used a little bit of my watercolor pencil. Even though I didn't do any watercoloring, I simply used it to give me a little bit more outline in some of the areas. So don't forget about your watercoloring pencils, even if you aren't using them to necessarily watercolor. But just to give you a different idea of something that's a little bit more brighter and bolder using markers compared to something that's a little bit more subdued. Oh, it was fun. And then also too, when you're playing with blends and other markers, pencils, this happens to be from a different stamp set that my sister-in-law sent me, and I just thought they were absolutely too cute. And so I stamped a bunch of them and played with markers and Stampin' Blends and just made a couple of other little things to use just to give me some ideas on coloring and stuff. And the same with this one. This guy is really cute. And the best thing with playing is I noticed him, I thought I got him way too dark. So that's the fun with playing with these, is you can use your markers, your blenders. This one happened to be all watercolor pencils. I never got them wet, but I just used the pencil. And this is, of course, I think more markers. But anyways, have fun with your markers, with your watercolor pencils, with your blends. And I hope you enjoyed this little video. I love this stamp set, Dress to Impress. So keep that in mind when you start looking through the new catalog. And thank you for watching. This has been fun. I've enjoyed doing it. If you have any questions or you want to contact me, you can always find me at trenabrower.stampinup.net or trenabrower@gmail.com. My Facebook is Trena's Thinking Inkin, and then my blog, trenabrower.wordpress.com. Thank you much for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.